Okay, here we go. I think we're just about ready. Um, Welcome everybody. This is Dice and Drinks, channel all about playing some tabletop games. We're getting ready to start streaming a new campaign of Stars Without Number soon. My name is Matt. I'm the GM for that campaign, and tonight we're going to do a little world building. The last stream we started digging into factions a little bit. Tonight we're going to take a look at some of the corporate factions. But before we get to that, last time I got called out because I didn't tell you what I was drinking. This time I have a bottle of Kilhome in here. It's a Isla Scotch, no age statement. One of our other players is really the big Scotch guy. He could tell you a lot more about it, but all I know is it tastes good, and that's what we're going with tonight. All right. With that out of the way, we should be able to start getting into this a little bit. So let's go ahead and we'll jump into Legend Keeper. There we go. So this is Legend Keeper. If you weren't here last time, this is note-taking software slash campaign manager. Kind of made my way here after exploring Notion a little bit, going through World Anvil. This is kind of the best of both worlds for me. So this is what I'm working in now. I like it a lot. It's still pretty early days for it. A lot of active development, and to get a hold of this, you basically have to be a Patreon of Legend Keeper, but in my opinion, well worth it. So last time we started working on these factions a little bit. We basically went through and listed out the majority of the factions that we wanted. Some of these are government factions. Some of them are other alien species that are spread throughout the sector. We have a couple criminal organizations, the corporates, which are down here, which is what we're going to be working on tonight. And then a few other miscellaneous. So we have Bounty Hunters Guild, a couple religions, and the last big bad secret one down here that we probably will not talk too much about in one of these sessions, just because gotta watch out for those snooping players. But anyways, so I think really the only thing that's been updated since last time we were here is I came up with a name for the spy organization. They're going to be called the Notarium. May or may not stick. That's what we're going with for now. It's somewhat similar to Hattori is the only thing that I see there, but we can circle back on that potentially. All right, but tonight we're going to get into the three main ones we want to tackle are Helix Armaments. So this is kind of the weapons monopoly in the sector. They also do ships, but definitely more on the military side. The next one is the Cirrus Shipyards. This is going to be more geared specifically towards ships, and probably more like sensors focus, I would say. We can kind of dig into that when we get there. And then the other one is this raw material monopoly. Still don't have a name for them yet, but that's basically the organization that controls all of the mining, the refining, the agriculture, basically anything that takes a raw material, converts it into something that all the rest of these factions care about. So with that said, let's go ahead and create a new page for these guys. Parents factions, link text, create it from a template. It'll be a faction template. Works. Okay. So we dig into here. All right, so this is our faction template. It's a mashup of a couple other community templates from Legend Keeper. But yeah, so the one that we really care about is this prompts page. This is going to be our questions that help us flesh out this faction a little bit. All right, so who are they? Leader in weapons development. Also build Warships. We'll leave that for now. What are they about? All things weapons, protection, basically big government contractor. For the Commonwealth. Most individual planets aren't going to be able to afford these guys. And they definitely don't do much with the general public, but they are kind of the big supplier for military power for the Commonwealth. At least military technology. Where do they reside? Alright, we'll come back to that because we're basically going to create a system for them. How are they perceived? So I think that they are basically, so a lot of this is going to be United States reference because that's where we are, but basically they're the Lockheeds, the Boeings. The general public probably chooses more to not think about what they're doing in terms of whether it's moral or not. They know that the technology that they provide gives them protection. It's necessary, almost necessary evil. But yeah, so I think they kind of fly under the radar until something bad happens in the news, and then everybody loves to hate them. Okay. So something that makes them special. I'm gonna. All right. I'm gonna go with classified weapons technology here. I don't want to get into too many details just yet. But basically, they are the ones that are on the leading edge of weapons development. The stuff that they do for the government, probably all on the up and up, but there's rumors about that they probably dabble in Maltech. You don't be the premier leader in weapons and not know how to get dirty with weapons too. So I think there's some room for some drama to be injected there. But we'll just leave it at some classified weapons technology stuff for now. Why do they exist? All right. Okay. So, the first and only important defense contractor in the sector. So I think basically when the Commonwealth was kind of rising up, they were probably either in the Tyrus system or very close by, and there was a quick partnership there, and they seized the monopoly on it. And I think when we get into the Cirrus Shipyards, that's more of a recent development, and that's kind of where the drama between the two of them comes in. They've been in bed with the Commonwealth for a long time, but the Commonwealth is also getting tired of paying their high prices. Which is basically what I just said for this answer here. So what is their history? How do they relate to key cultures organizations? Basically helped the Commonwealth achieve dominance in the sector. They've held all contracts the longest and demand the highest rates. Where can they be found? So they're a defense contractor, but not in the sense of like private military defense contractor. They are the defense industrial complex. So they probably have a presence throughout the sector in terms of they probably have research bases and test facilities and things like that. But they have a main system, which is System XXX up here. That's where corporate headquarters are. That's where the majority of their manufacturing is. So main system. Includes headquarters and manufacturing. Test sites spread throughout the sector. Probably also have top secret. Research bases and test sites. The members like what unites them, what makes them special. So these are the most powerful guys that are not in government. Other than maybe the media organization. Lots of money. Waste no expense. That type of stuff. Reputation. Necessary evil. Some people look up to them. But most of the general population chooses not to think about it. All right, how are they recognizable? So some kind of Helix insignia. With a weapon slant. Their infrastructure is vast, including manufacturing, research, software, technology. They are corporate. So basically they have a CEO, C-suite, vice president, so on and so on. Sustained through government contracts. Back alley deals. Maybe. We're not really sure. How does the organization relate to other organizations or cultural powers? It's pretty much been answered above. I'm just going to say C above here. All right, so rank 1, we have CEO/president. Rank 2, we're going to say CTO. Basically, that's their top scientist who is cranking out the goods. And then we'll have like a COO for operations. And then once we get below that, we're going to have SVPs. Obviously, there's some other stuff in there, but in terms of like the operational structure and who has the power, it's going to be these people. Quirks does the organization have? I think they always joke about using their weapons to even the playing field in any negotiation. It's like that kind of passive aggressive, yep, we have all of the bombs. All right, symbol of the organization we talked about is Helix, weapon insignia. Joining the organization. Mostly recruit scientists, ex-military, and business. So we have obviously the scientists are in the development side. The military is kind of their version of human factors. If we create this weapon, we send it to the military. Does this make sense? And then obviously the business people to run the show. How's one advance in the organization? Make those sales or build a better bomb. Advantages, top salaries. Yeah. Yep. Sweet. That one actually went pretty fast. Okay. Let me pull up a name generator right quick. Let's actually fill in some names for... Sorry, just filling in some details here. Gonna get some random names and pick something. Sweet. Here we go. Okay, I like this. Oh, lost my mouse. Oh, there we go. Okay. Here we go. CEO, president. This is going to be Ms. Taryn Knight. I'm gonna create her a page just for now. I'm gonna put her at top level. I'll just give her the character template for now. Sweet. Okay, CTO. All right, let me change a few seeds on this generator here. Nationality. Let's go with Dutch. Hold on, something's messed up here. Oh, that would do it. Okay, here we go. This is going to be a Dr. Livingston Weaver. Same thing. Boom. All right, and operations. All right, let's change nationality again. Oh, actually, here we go. Let's do. Then I have. Okay, that's strange. No Korean on the list at all. All right, not a big deal. Something else. Let's go Swiss. Go. It's gonna be a Mr. Armand Meyer. Come on. Toméa Epsilon. Sweet. And then SVPs are just going to be miscellaneous. We'll figure them out as needed once we get in the game. Nice. So now we have Helix Armaments. They are known for their weapons development. They do build ships, normally the big ones. And they're in tight with the Commonwealth, making the dough. All right. Awesome. Okay, here we go. Let's do the Cirrus Shipyards. Actually, I want to change these guys because I don't want to just be called shipyards. Alright, I have to do it. Cirrus Technology Development. The first pun of the game. Innuendo that my players will jump all over. Faction template. Under the factions. Sweet. Create and link. Let's get into it. Alright, Cirrus Technology Development. They are a new startup that is moving in on Helix. I can add this. Helix Armaments. Military contracts. So they are all about using new technology to gain the edge. Well, we can get into that later, but think smaller, stealthier, and faster. Again, system XXX, we'll get into that. They are the new sexy group on the block. They also cater to the general public. Through things like bot development and drones. They're attracting the newest, best talent coming out of school. So, I mean, they're basically the Silicon Valley to where Helix is the Boeing and Lockheed's. They're doing more with less is the idea there. Why they exist. So this was a university student that was obsessed with pre-tech. Started developing similar technology and marketing it effectively. Oh, I guess that kind of goes in the next one. They do more with less, but don't have the reputation with the Commonwealth that Helix does. Formatting thing here. Yeah. Where can they be found? System XXX. neighbor to the university. I don't really have a university yet. I'm sure that we'll end up making one up. Probably a few. But that's basically what I'm thinking there is this is the Google. This is the Apple. They started in their garage and made some crazy shit, and their name blew up fast. All right. Numbers like these are the cool guys. Pretty nerdy. Not really. Let's not say that. Let's say most are in it for the money. But there's some small sect of them that are the business people. And it's still early days for them, so that sect hasn't kind of taken over the whole thing yet. But yeah. Reputation. Upstarts. Looking to prove their tech. The public loves them. How are they recognizable? Flashy commercials. Infrastructure-wise, lacking in terms of like actual manufacturing. So they have great research facilities. Though geographically limited. But their manufacturing can't keep up. Rank and social structure. Basically have the founders. Not sure if it's going to be a single founder yet, or if we want to do the whole dual founder, Sergey and Larry type deal. But definitely founders kind of rule the place. And then the lawyers are trying to make their way in. Currently, I think they are still operating off a lot of grant money. In terms of how they sustain themselves. But they have won a few small contracts. And commercial sales are also growing. Okay, so how does it relate to others? So Helix wants to crush them. Actually, this might actually... Oops. This might actually require a list for this one. So... Commonwealth is intrigued if they can replace Helix. Just jump back to our factions page for a second. See if there's anybody else. Tori's indifferent. Notorium. Okay, yeah. Like that. Okay, yeah. So the Notorium likes the idea of working with a smaller outfit that can do more custom stuff. I think the Tory and other military are torn. Top brass have a lot of connections in Helix. So I mean, I think that's probably a pretty common thing is that the military, once you go through, you retire or whatever, you go to work at Helix as a contractor and start lining your pockets, especially for like the high ranking people. Probably a pretty common practice. So I think that the actual operators are probably intrigued by some of the new stuff that's coming out of Cirrus, but the top brass is a little more guarded with it. They don't know if they can count on that being their retirement fund. Sweet. Rank 1 is... So this one, there might actually be some strife within the organization at some point too. So I'm going to say right now, tech founder is in charge. We'll do the same thing, basically come back and give these guys some names. These people, not necessarily guys. The other is business. So we have some scientists. And then the other one are the lawyers. So right now, yeah, basically, I think the business is relatively small. It's probably just that original founder. He obviously probably has people working for him, but he's pretty much involved in everything at this point. On the tech side, I think you have the tech founder who is kind of the direction of the company. He may actually be more of a face too. And then you have the other scientists who may or may not be working together with the founder. He probably is working on his own things. He's kind of at a different level, but these guys are good. And then you have the lawyers who are basically the business guy has probably called them in to shore things up, and they're just trying to butt their way in and get their footing. But yeah, fast developing situations inside this faction. Quirks. Probably most hyped faction. Stranger Crew. Talk about that later. Yeah, just most hype faction for right now. It's a startup. It's yeah. Symbol of the organization. Bright star. Maybe supernova. I think history-wise, there's going to be a lot to develop on this one before we start the game. They may be a major player early in the game just because they're smaller. Joining the organization. So basically, they recruit from conferences. Can't spell. And universities also have been stealing talent from Helix. All right, right now, basically advancement is completely merit-based. Usually some tech breakthrough. Advantages. Basically, the main advantage right now is you get to work on interesting things. Pay sucks. So this is basically, you're not going here to get rich. You may one day. I don't know if there's stock options, if that's a thing in Toméa Epsilon. But basically, it's a startup. The pay sucks. The hours suck. They don't have venture capital funding. They're basically working off of grant money. So yeah. And that is Cirrus Technology Development, STD. I like it. All right. The last one they're probably going to do tonight, probably going to be somewhat of a shorter stream, is this raw material monopoly. Actually, let's go back and do some names for these people. All right, let me pull up my name generator again. Not a giant fan of this one, but it'll work for what we need. All right. And the last one, the business is female. Let's make female for the tech founder. Ms. Sure. Serbian. I like that. These names do not sound very Serbian. Okay. Find a different name generator. Here we go. These are better. Let's see what we got. Oh, I like it. Oh, leave that so don't forget. Anita Latinek. Boom. Make a page for the character template. Let's just put her under Toméa Epsilon for now. Create and link. Sweet. All right. Business founder. Let's go random on this one. Male or female? We don't know. Russian. Living in Portugal. Alright, let's see what we got here. Alright, I think we're going 2 women. One is Victoria Krylova. Boom. Character template. Toméa Epsilon. Alright. So those are the main ones. Scientists and lawyers, that's just going to be whatever happens when we're actually doing session prep. But there we go. We are cooking with gas. All right. One more. Raw material monopoly. Now, I've been thinking all night trying to figure out what a good name for this group is. Like I'm leaning towards some kind of acronym that sounds good, and it's not working. Basically thinking something materials, extraction, refinement, transport. I don't know. Let's get into it and then see if anything comes up. Boom, boom, boom. Nice part about linking them like that is if you just change it here, it'll change it anywhere that it's linked. All right, who are these guys? They control all raw material, mining, refinement, and transport. Also agriculture, probably not building. I think building kind of is on a planet by planet basis, but definitely agriculture. This is the thing, a lot of these planets don't necessarily have human miscible flora and fauna, so agriculture is kind of offloaded to planets that are specifically suited for that. And I think these guys also, on top of just going out and finding these planets that are specifically suited for it, they probably are the only group that has mastered terraforming. And not like at the scale where we can turn a rock into a habitable planet, but just being able to nudge biospheres in the right direction. Agriculture, food, environmental control. They are about providing the public what they need at their set price. Where do they reside? Obviously they're going to have wherever they're headquartered, but they are pretty widespread. Pretty much anywhere that one of these food planets can be found, or dense let's not say dense, let's say mineral rich asteroid belts. Because it's not just the food side, they also are basically the mining side, any kind of raw material. They are the ones in charge, and also shipping. When it comes to cargo ships, they basically own the biggest fleet. If you need something moved around the sector, you're going through these guys. How are they perceived? General population hates them. Commonwealth tolerates them. To the extent that the Commonwealth knows that they need them. There's not a second group, like, because like we just went through Helix and Cirrus. So Helix is the incumbent. The Commonwealth has somewhat of a tenuous relationship with them. It's like, well, we got here together. We're good friends. But at the same time, we would be a lot better off if someone could come in and replace you at a lower price. So that's where Cirrus comes in and kind of gives them that opportunity. When it comes to these guys, there's not really any competition for them. They are the one-stop shop. So general population hates them because basically they price gouge on everything, obviously. And then the Commonwealth tolerates them. Knows that they have no other option. All right, we'll make some special. They are the largest monopoly. Sector, control food and water supply. So, I mean, obviously, there's some planets throughout the sector that probably have their own food and water and can sustain their population where it's at right now. But once you grow to like the mega city planet where 80% of your planet is covered in city and your population's huge, obviously your planet's not going to sustain that. So that's where they come in. They bring you your food and you're kind of beholden to them. Basically what we just talked about here. Why do they exist? They provide resources. Let's just say they provide food to planets that can no longer sustain their population. Also, asteroid mining and transport. All right. So what is their history? Started in a system that had a planet with multiple moons that were good for agriculture. We're able to start supplying neighboring systems. Fueled the expansion of Commonwealth settlements. It's kind of like weird. One of the things in the setting, obviously, is that there basically was the sector was vastly populated. There was a lot of stuff, and then the scream happened. A lot of people died. Technology basically disappeared to a certain extent. And then how we're kind of running this is that the Commonwealth was the first ones to rediscover faster than light travel, so we can move between systems. I think that's probably a combination of a lot of these other factions were developing at the same time as the Commonwealth, but the Commonwealth was the one that could go and basically cherry pick from each of these separate factions. So, like, you look at Helix, they were probably in a system that was relatively close to the Commonwealth, an entire system. So they go and they are able to trade with them. They're able to arm their own ships and get around. Then you have this raw material monopoly here that they happen to be in a system where their food was abundant. They had a stockpile. So Commonwealth teams up with them. And all these people kind of grow up together, but the Commonwealth was the one that could actually transport between each of these systems, could actually link all of these different factions together. That's not exactly where I was starting that rant, but that's where we got to. But anyways, so when the Commonwealth is expanding out, there's all these systems that, maybe there was a civilization there before and they died out. So at that point, you basically have a raw planet. You're starting over. So that's a fresh settlement. Or there's some civilization there that you're trying to bring into the Commonwealth at that point. Either way, this group is the one that helped fuel that by providing the resources that were needed. Where can they be found? Not sector, system close to the Commonwealth. Members like 95% are just workers. I mean, it takes a huge labor force to drive something like this. And then you have the executives. There's a big divide between the two. I mean, the executives are basically just lining their pockets on top of this labor force that is downtrodden. Reputation, hated by most. Actually, yeah. So I think there's a connection here. I'm going to put it down in the quirk section when we get there. We're just going to leave it at hated by most for now. How are they recognizable? Large transport ships. some industrial looking insignia. I mean, this is, for all intents and purposes, Soviet Russia. Infrastructure. Vast infrastructure. For handling raw materials. But not so much for processed goods. I think in terms of selling to the end user, obviously on the food side, they do a lot more selling to the end user. On the raw material side, it's a lot more wholesale. So I think there may even be like two divisions that are kind of separate there. And the food side is the one that is definitely hated by everyone. And then on the raw material side, it's more like, well, this is the price of doing business. Going out to these asteroids and mining those materials is dangerous work. So you pay for what you get. Either way, all of the workers inside of the organization hate all of the executives inside the organization. Which is basically right here. Workers versus execs. Terrible relationship. Approaching slave labor. I think probably a lot of people get sent here and instead of going to prison. And I think there's probably some level of indentured servitude. Organization stands itself. Cheap labor and high prices due to monopoly. How does it relate to other organizations? Yeah, so this actually works right here. I think they have a close relationship. Let's rephrase that. Execs have a close relationship with Helix and use that relationship to keep the workers in line. I think there's occasionally uprisings, rebellions, whatever, and they quickly squash that. All right. So I think we have the CEO, obviously. We're in the corporate still. We have Chief of Security. I think we have call it Secret Union Leader. Again, there's some strife in this organization, setting all these guys up to fail. And then we just have, let's just go with general worker population. Quirks does the organization have? Class warfare within the org. Symbol, some industrial insignia. Okay, how's one join? Often no other choice. execs are appointed usually through nepotism. As one advance. Workers do not. Execs. Through shady deals. With each other. What advantages does one have? Workers. Basically have no other choice, like we already talked about. They get slum lodging and terrible food. Execs get huge paychecks. And they also probably satisfy some kind of power dynamic fantasies that they have. All right. I like it. We're doing pretty good. Let's get some names. All right. These guys are definitely American. Come on, give me something good here. Okay, not bad. David Coletti is the CEO of this fine organization. Oops, character. Toméa Epsilon. Create and link. All right, Chief of Security. Oh, that was actually a good one. Oh, well, no. All the C names are so good. I don't want to go with the same thing, though. Come on, something. Okay, okay. It's not terrible. Just do a couple. Oh, there we go. Walter Bomber. Character template. Oops. Toméa Epsilon. All right, now we need a union leader name. I like it. Thomas Gibson. There we go. And now we are up to 6 factions that are probably at least good enough to run. Obviously, we'll come back and take care of some of the mechanics in terms of actually statting these guys out. But I want to wait until we get a few more done before we get into any of that. That's probably where we're going to stop tonight, though. I do want to go back. Let's go to the Commonwealth. Now that we got the names going, let's figure out who the head honcho of this entire place is. All right, we're going to go random between male and female. Don't care. Oh, ethnicity. Whew. We're going to go Greek just because... Oh, please tell me I have Greek. Just because there's so much Greek stuff that we're pulling for the names of the factions and the places and stuff that I feel like the people in charge have to have a strong connection there. But there is no Greek in this thing. Okay. Ninja. Hang on. Okay, let me find a different generator right quick. Here we go. Yep, here we go. I like this mashup. Nicholas Antonellis. Boom, boom, boom. All right. That's the big guy, Nicholas Antonellis. I had a professor in school, probably my favorite professor in computer science, named Nicholas Burbakis. So I like that little little nod there. All right. Let's go ahead and just fill in. Oh, that's not what I wanted. All right, let me get rid of this column. All right, I want 4 big representatives that are probably from the biggest systems. So let's go ahead. All right, one of these is going to be Greek sounding. Maybe. Could be a lot of things. I like this one, though. Oop. El Alano. All right, let me change to a different place here. There we go. Let's get some Argentine names. Ooh, I like it. Tavio Monaldo. All right. What else we got? Go with Devine. Sarao. All right, one more. What's it gonna be? Let's go Luxembourg. Ooh, that's a good one. Simone Braun. All right. So these are the big players. Get rid of this header row. All right. So in the House of Representatives, these are the big players. Once we build out the sector a little more and we know what the big systems are, we'll assign these to systems. The diplomats are going to be basically game prep names, and then the judiciary. Let's come up with 3. But I think this actually might kind of be important. All right. Like it. Moses Adair. Yep. Amina Latanzio. And one more. Let's see what we got here. Let's go German. We've not touched German yet. Yep, I think 1 guy and 2 girls. Yep, I like it. Mina Shah. Boom. Good stuff. All right. Well, I think that's probably where we're going to end it tonight. Thanks for hanging out. It was a little bit shorter than last time, but still plenty long, I think. We made it through 3 more factions, so that brings our total to 6 now. We have a few more to go, especially before we start playing the game at all. But we're looking to basically continue the world building out here through the month of January. We have some stuff that's going to be rolling in February. And then it'll either be end of February when we start the actual stream for the campaign or early March. But definitely looking forward to getting into it. thanks for hanging out tonight, and we'll see you again next time.